Welcome to Crazy Nurse RN Hub, where learning becomes a tradition. Come, join me as we explore the multifaceted world of nursing. Hi there, students. My name is Criselmer Ducanes, and I am a research instructor. For today's topic, we have Understanding Research Design. First off, let's define research design. Design is a detailed plan or a scheme or a blueprint. It is a bringing together of elements so as to present a congruous whole. And research design is the overall plan for first obtaining answers to the research questions and or for testing the research hypothesis. It spells out the basic strategies that the researcher adopts to develop information that is accurate and interpretable. It also refers to the way in which the investigator plans and structures the research process. The design provides flexible guideposts that keep the researcher headed into the right direction. The design is a broad pattern or guide that can be applied to many studies. Just as a fashion design is customized for whom it is being made, so must research design be made specific to a study. For the elements or specifications of research design, we have first, intervention. We also have groups of participants. Also, we have controls of extraneous variables, research sites and settings. And lastly, we have communication with participants. Let's explain each of these elements briefly. First, we have your intervention. This refers to the researcher's program that was innovated and would like to test, or a treatment modality to be evaluated, or new procedure that is to be implemented, or a style of leadership that the researcher designed to be implemented. In experimental studies, the researcher puts in an intervention. In non-experimental studies, the investigator observes phenomena as they naturally occur without intervening in any way. Next element is groups of participants. The term group refers to the type of population participating in the study, such as students, teachers, and children. Participants in the study are grouped. Researchers try to develop some type of comparison of study groups to provide a context for interpreting the results. So here are the types of comparison of study groups. First, we have comparison of behavior between two or more groups used as subjects. For example, adaptation to menopause among women in different cultural or ethnic groups. Another type of comparison is single group behavior assessed or evaluated at two or more points in time. For example, assessment of patients' level of stress before and after introducing a new procedure for reducing stress. Lastly, we have evaluation of single group under different circumstances. Example, comparison of heart rates of people undergoing two different types of exercise. Next element, we have controls for extraneous variables. This refers to the handling or managing variables that may affect the process of the study, such as the environment, language used by the researcher, age or educational level of participants. Next element, we have research sites and settings. The research design must specify the site and setting for the research study. The site is the overall location of the study. It could be an overall community, for example, a Muslim neighborhood in Iloilo City, or an institution within a community, such as a hospital in Iloilo City. And lastly, we have communication with the study participants. In designing the study, the researcher must decide how much information will be provided to the study participants. Thus, full disclosure to the subjects before obtaining their consent is highly desirable from an ethical standpoint. Now let's proceed to the types of research design. So we have quantitative research design and qualitative research design. For quantitative research design, it is the investigation of phenomena that lends themselves to precise measurement and quantification, often involving a rigorous and controlled design concerning with measuring the magnitude, size, or extent of the phenomena. We also have types of quantitative research design. First, we have your experimental research, then quasi-experimental research, and lastly, we have your non-experimental research. Quasi-experimental and experimental are designed to examine cause and effect. These studies are conducted to examine differences in the dependent variables thought to be caused by independent variables. Descriptive and correlational studies, which belong to non-experimental research, examine variables in natural environments and do not include researcher-imposed treatments. First, let's have experimental research. A true experiment is a scientific investigation characterized by the following properties. First, we have your manipulation. It is where the experimenter does something to at least some of the subjects of the study. Next, we have control. The experimenter introduces controls over the experimental situation, including the use of control group. And lastly, we have randomization. The experimenter assigns subjects to a control or experimental group on the random basis. The researcher is an active agent in experimental studies rather than a passive learner. True experiments offer the most convincing evidence concerning the effects one variable has on another in terms of causation. There are numerous types of experimental design. First, we have your basic experimental design. We also have your Solomon 4 group design. Also, we have the factorial design. And lastly, repeated measures design. For the basic experimental design, it is also known as an after-only design or a post-test only design. Another basic experimental design is a before-after design, where the dependent variable is measured at 2 points in time, before and after the experimental treatment or intervention. An example of this basic experimental design is testing hospitalized children's affective behavior after being cared for by nurses wearing different colored uniforms. Next is your Solomon 4 group design. This design consists of 2 experimental and 2 control groups. 1 experimental and 1 control before as in a pre-test, and the other 2 groups after the experimental intervention is done. Next is your factorial design. This type permits the testing of multiple hypotheses in a single experiment. And lastly, we have your repeated measures design. A repeated measures design involves exposure of the same subjects to more than 1 experimental treatment. Next, let's proceed to quasi-experimental research. Quasi means seemingly, apparent but not really. Research that uses quasi-experimental design often looks much like an experiment. It involves the manipulation of an independent variable but lacks other characteristics of true experiments, such as randomization or a control group. It may have the ability to introduce randomization but lacks the full experiment control over the scheduling of stimuli. Now let's have the non-experimental research. For non-experimental research, we have descriptive research, correlational research, survey research, meta-analysis, and lastly, we have cohort studies. For descriptive research, it refers to the methods that describe the characteristics of the variables under study. It focuses on answering questions relating to what than the why of the research subject. And lastly, the primary focus is to simply describe the nature of the demographics under study instead of focusing on the why. For correlational research, the researcher studies the relationship between one or more quantitative independent variables and one or more quantitative dependent variables. In correlational research, there is no manipulation of an independent variable. Next, we have the survey research. The collection of information from a sample of individuals through the responses to questions. This type of research allows for a variety of methods to recruit participants, collect data, and utilize various methods of instrumentation. And lastly, survey data can be collected through personal interviews, telephone interviews, and questionnaires. Next, we have your meta-analysis. It is a quantitative, formal, epidemiological study design used to systematically assess the results of previous research to derive conclusions about the body of research. And lastly, we have cohort studies. The word cohort means a group of people. These types of studies look at groups of people. And cohort studies are a type of medical research used to investigate the causes of disease and to establish links between risk factors and health outcomes. Now let's proceed to qualitative research design. Qualitative research refers to the investigation of phenomena, typically in an in-depth and holistic fashion, through the collection of rich narrative materials using a flexible research design. The disciplines that provide the theoretical framework or context for qualitative studies come primarily from anthropology, psychology, and sociology. We have 5 types of qualitative research design. First, we have your ethnography. We also have your phenomenology, grounded theory, historical research, and case study. For ethnography, it is a branch of human inquiry associated with the field of anthropology that focuses on the culture of a group of people with an effort to understand the worldview of those under study. For the phenomenology, it is a qualitative research tradition with roots in philosophy and psychology that focuses on the lived experience of humans. Next, we have your grounded theory. It is an approach to collecting and analyzing qualitative data with the aim of developing theories and theoretical propositions grounded in the real-world observations. We also have your historical research. It is a systematic studies designed to establish facts and relationships concerning past events. And lastly, we have case study. It is a research method that involves a thorough, in-depth analysis of an individual, group, institution, or other social unit. Now let's have the comparison of characteristics of qualitative and quantitative research design. As to, first, research questions. For qualitative, it focuses on qualitative intangible aspects of human experience. For quantitative, it focuses on physical events and quantifiable aspects of human behavior. As to researcher expectations, in qualitative, it is to describe human experiences and develop concepts and theories, and also explain and interpret human behavior or events. For quantitative, it is to test hypotheses and theories, also to verify hypotheses and theories, and to predict physical or human events. As to role of person being studied, in qualitative, the participants are active. The participants' behavior is spontaneous, and participants' behavior is both means and end. For quantitative, the participants are passive. Their behaviors are prescribed by researchers, and subject behavior is a means to an end. As to study approach, qualitative uses inductive process, and it is dynamic, systematic process using constant comparison. For quantitative, it utilizes deductive process. It is fixed, systematic process based on hypothesis. As to data, for qualitative, it reflects perceptions of persons being studied, and it is collected throughout the study. It is in the form of words for analysis. For quantitative, it is measurable perceptions of persons studied. It is collected in designated time frame, and it is in the form of numbers for analysis. As to research environment, for qualitative, data are collected in settings natural to person being studied, and there is no manipulation of environment by the researcher. For quantitative, the data are collected in controlled environment. Researcher manipulates environment to control for variables. And lastly, for the outcomes, in qualitative, there is a written description of findings that are highly valid. For quantitative, we have numerical accounts of data that are highly reliable. I believe that ends our lecture on understanding the research design. If you think this lecture video helped you, you may click the like and share button and spread good vibes. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more informative and interesting lecture videos. This has been Crazy Nurse RN Hub, where learning becomes a tradition. Have a nice day and see you on my next lecture videos. Goodbye!